iScrappers, Tom from the iScrap app, and today is Thursday, March 19th, 2020. We hope that everyone is staying healthy, heeding your local and state as well as national government's warnings, listening to all the different things, washing your hands excessively, making sure that if you have a mask that you're going to wear, that it's the correct type of one, practicing your social distancing, making sure that you're staying away from people, staying home once you are done with work if you're still out there or not telecommuting, making sure that you're staying as confined as you can. Little tips and pieces of advice that we can give you. What we started to do at our scrapyard, we told everyone to go home, take their clothes, and immediately wash them, to be able to just make sure that they're staying sanitized. If you're able to get undressed before you get into the house, maybe you just walk in there and in your boxers, and you're able to get into the washing or dryer, or leave your clothes if you have to go to the laundromat into a bag, have a couple of sets. And unfortunately you're going to do a little more laundry right now, but a little more laundry to slow down a little more spread. That's one of those short-term risks versus the long-term gains. When we talk about things at our scrapyard, we always talk about little big things, and this is one of those. Not shaking someone's hands. We know that we've met with a couple of companies over the last few days, and we go to just traditionally put your hand out to say, hi, how are you? And they're not allowed to. And it's one of those weird social things where your entire life, you always shake hands, you give knuckles, you say, whatever it is, and now you're elbow tapping and doing things that are very weird that you would joke about in a half-hearted Friday night, bar rant or something. And here things are. So fortunately, it looks like everyone is really reacting in a strong way. It looks like people are listening to warnings. It looks like they are heeding warnings, and we're seeing a lot less problems than we would. Things that we have researched and we'd like to talk about. This way it's on top of metal prices. We know that this is going to get worse before it gets better, especially as a lot of these test kits get out. As the test kits get out, we expect to see a lot of these reported cases climbing exponentially every single day. Unfortunately, that is what's going to happen. What's going to happen next, whether it's a national shutdown, a short-term shutdown, whatever these things are, we don't know. So hopefully we just keep on scrapping and keep on moving material as quickly, safely, and efficiently as we can. So we're going to talk about the markets, because the markets are certainly something. They are unlike we've ever seen them before. I've been working for 13 years in the yard full time now, and I have seen some of these copper drops happen like 3 times. 17 cents in one day, 8 cents the day before, or 11 cents the day before that. It's just complete craziness. We've seen the market drop over 70 cents in the last few weeks since beginning of February, maybe late January. 70 cents a pound is a lot of juice to take off of that overall number, and we don't know when it's going to recover, unfortunately. We've been practicing for years really what we've been preaching at the same time. Get it in and sell it. If you want to gamble, if you want to speculate, that's why casinos exist. That's why the stock market is out there for speculation. If you think copper prices are going to go up, invest in a stock. Maybe it pays you a dividend, right? But if you're, we talked to, unfortunately, a lot of customers down at the scrapyard the last few days, calling us and asking us where the markets are. And, one gentleman I talked to had been holding 800 pounds of number 1 tubing. And now he got laid off from his job because, they're not allowed to work. And he wanted to cash it in, and he asked what the prices were. And the other day, the prices were $1.80. And, he said, wait a second, the prices were just like $2.40. And I said, yes, they were, but we've seen such a slowdown. He goes, that's a lot of money that I lost. I said, well, when you hold on to things for rainy days, sometimes when it's raining, it's already too late and your boots are wet. And you're going to just be, out of luck for a little while. And he ended up selling the material. And instead of selling it when he wanted to, and we told him to 3-4 weeks ago, he sold it and lost out on an additional $400+. So if you're holding onto your material, we think that there are further price drops coming. Every story I tell we try to lead to something else. And I think that this copper market has not seen a bottom. I still think that we have all of 20 to 40 cents to get pulled off this board in the upcoming weeks, especially as supply chains are going to be upset more. Overseas shipping is going to be slowed down. This is going to be a longer podcast than we've had in the past, and we welcome any type of questions on how you think that COVID-19 is going to affect the scrap market. We want to answer your questions. If you don't ask us questions, how do we know what you're thinking? How do we know how to inform you in different and better ways? So I'm going to talk for a while here, and you're going to ask away, and we'll do our best to answer every question. Hopefully there's a lot of them, and we'll kind of go from there. So with copper prices down, we say, okay, what if the market goes down further? What if we have a national shutdown? What if is really the phrase that we're going to look at, and how things are going to shake out from here. So what if the market stops and we go on a national pause, a worldwide pause, and we hope that a 2-week or 3-week kind of shutdown will slow things down? What's going to happen from there? I don't want to get into too much speculation, but what's already happened is the supply chains have been disrupted. With this originating in China, with the Chinese consuming 50% of the world's copper, that becomes an issue, because if they're not producing products, they're not consuming metal, the copper that would be getting consumed there isn't being consumed, which means it's not being consumed in the U.S. because slowdowns are happening. Because just because something is made or assembled in the United States, that means that there could be parts coming from all over the world. And a lot of shipping right now is really being slowed down. We talked to a friend earlier this morning at a larger scrapyard. And one of the problems they're having is, normally it would take 2 to 3 days to schedule a load of material to get picked up and shipped overseas. 2 weeks. They're at 2 weeks right now. And what they're trying to do is have only essentials, food, medical equipment, cleansing wipes, stuff like that, coming in on these ships. So, other countries, their focus is getting us the real supplies that we need, not the supplies that we want. We want new iPhones, we want new laptops, new TVs, new cars, things like that, but those aren't needs. Wants and needs are so different right now that you need to think about that when you think about the industry. Question?
We have a couple questions.
Great.
Bill asked, how about number 1 steel prices?
Okay.
And Jason asked, what is the average price for insulated number 2 and fire alarm? I'm assuming he means firewire, but I'm not 100% sure.
Great question. I'm going to go after the first one. Steel prices, which I was going to talk to, but hey, why not? We'll talk about it now. Have dropped down. I've seen 4 market drops out of the last 5 days. So I've seen about $55 a ton come off of all grades of steel on average over the last 7 to 10 business days. So let's call it since last Monday. Why has that happened? We talked last week about the oil prices dipping down to really the lows that we haven't seen in 25, 30 years. And while oil prices being down tends to be a good thing, because you want the gas prices to be down, when no one is driving, when no one is consuming oil. We've had a very mild winter here in the Northeast, meaning that gas bills are lower, that we're consuming less energy right now. Now you take cars off the street with people working at home, school buses not moving as much, commuter buses not moving as much, tractor trailers of goods like the electronics that we talked about a couple of minutes ago not delivering as much. That's led to these oil prices really falling. Now, while they've increased a little bit today, they still haven't increased enough where some stocks are really hurting. A company like BP, we've seen their stock drop over 50%. We've seen the stock market, lose 35% of its value. Trillions of dollars are gone in 2 weeks. So the steel prices are going to go right along with those other drops. Oil down, steel down. And they've generally corresponded. Oil up, steel up, because it costs more money to move things, so steel prices are going to go up because you got to make the money up from transportation costs. But if no one is consuming steel, if there aren't barges getting loaded going to Turkey or going to different countries throughout the world like India, if there aren't barges getting loaded out of the US, then the supply chain is being broken. And we talked about supply chains the last 2 months. Let's go back to our high school days talking about supply chains, or some business 101 courses in college. Supply chain disruption at the base, not just starting with money, because sometimes money problems aren't the problem when you can borrow from a bank. Sometimes the problems are you're not able to get any money when the banks are closed. I talked to multiple people, and a lot of people are cashing their scrap out right now so they can get cash, because they don't know what's going to happen. And these are lots of things where you get to play into the what if scenarios. What we think about this entire situation is this: the economy was strong. Job numbers were at lows for unemployment. There was a consumer confidence that we haven't seen. People were buying cars and electronics and houses and things, right? And they're not. The goal is, when this gets contained, the goal is when this slows itself down, that it doesn't restart after the summer, it doesn't go into the summer, right? That things are just the light switch is going to flip back on. It's not going to be that quick. It's not going to be that easy. We're going to have to work a little harder than, how hard we were already working. But what's good is the fundamentals are there. This isn't 2008 where the housing bubble burst. The stock market dipped down. Companies like, AIG disappeared, right? This isn't that. So that's the positive stuff, and I tend to be an optimistic person as much as possible. So these are the positive things, right? So we have to look at this and say, okay, what's going to happen? Steel's going to be needed again. Copper's going to be needed again. So if you don't need the money, by all means hold. But if you're collecting steel right now, you don't have the ability to store a lot of it, nor do you want to touch it multiple times. I can't imagine the town that you live in, your landlord, your wife, your neighbor, whoever, is going to want to see a big pile of steel in the back. That's going to create safety hazards. So if you're getting something on your truck, get it right to the scrapyard, assuming they're open. We suggest you use the iScrap app to find the local scrapyard near you if yours has shut down or anything like that, and you call them, because hours are changing, faster than we could say. Virginia, what was the other question?
Well, we have a few that have actually piled up since then, but the other question was, what is the average price for insulated number 2?
Okay, so insulated number 2, I kind of consider a regular insulated copper wire. We've seen those markets dip down in the 30s or 40s per pound right now. Average wire price, 41 cents per pound right now.
Nathan asks, will you close your yard voluntarily or only if forced to close?
Funny question, Nathan. I have a lot of people that rely on Rockaway Recycling being open. Not just the team members that work here, but the community that sell to us. And our goal is to stay open as long as possible. Hopefully not shut at all. We have adjusted hours. We have added protocols such as anyone that is outside of the office has to wear gloves, safety glasses at all times. We have our social distancing both between employees and then customers. We have different things that we put into place, cleaning rags, decontaminating rags for all customers. So when they come in, they can wipe their hands off, throw it away before they use our signature pad. If they go to use the ATM, they can use another cloth to clean their hands. So until we're told not to, but we're hoping that we're more one of the kind of essential things that are moving, because as metal scrap is produced, as it will continue to be, kind of like garbage is. They're not going to stop the garbage men from moving material. The dumps have to keep taking in there. That's the supply chain we talked about. There's certain essentials: water, gas, power, food, garbage. I might not get my hair cut for 6 weeks, but who cares? I'd rather have food on the table than be looking sharp, because I'm not going on any dates with my wife because we're not leaving the house at night, So these are the things that I look at and I talk about and I think about, and we have open dialogues with our team members And your local scrap yards, we've already heard about a few voluntarily closing, but I have talked to about 25 different scrap yards in the last 3 days, and only one has voluntarily shut down. So it seems like we're trying to move materials as quickly as we can, because we have a lot of people that either owe us money, or different consumers that are up and running, local municipalities, manufacturing operations that are up and running. So hopefully that answers your question. Virginia?
Another question from Joseph. Do you think copper will go below $1?
Great question. I hope not to experience again in my lifetime, because I have done that multiple times before. I don't think that copper will go below $1. I think that we are almost at a trading level just above $2 a pound right now. So with copper a little over $2, do I see it dipping below? Yes. I think that we have another 20 to 30 cents coming off the top, especially as some of these tests start up and running the next couple of weeks. I think that the investors on Wall Street and throughout the world are going to be a little more miffed. We've heard all types of different scenarios, from the Wuhan one to Italy to Iran, all these different things that are going on. So we don't know, but $1, that would be extremely shocking. And I told someone recently, if copper goes below $1, that might be the time that I actually reverse course and maybe I hold on to some stuff. But even then, you can't make money if you're not selling anything. So hopefully that answers your question. Virginia?
And Russell had a question that you kind of touched on before, but
Okay.
what's the best stuff to hold on to right now?
Nothing. My answer is nothing. I'm going to tell you to hold on to absolutely zero. I'm not going to tell you to hold on to car batteries, stainless steel, insulated copper wire, Bear Bright, nothing. To hold on to nothing right now. If you want my complete, unadulterated, honest opinion, sell what you have. And please, don't play well, I would have made so much more. Yeah, you would have. But if you're holding on to a large amount of material, that means you were hoping for the markets to go up, and now the markets aren't. If you're in a position financially where you don't have to sell, by all means continue to hold. Just know that I think it's going down more. And when the increase is going to come is very, very hard to gauge. We're going to just be watching it like we watch everything all the time. But let me give you a couple of key examples why I tell people to sell their material as they get it. And I do the same. I truly do practice what I preach. At rrcats.com, you've heard us plug ourselves over the last few months, and we'll continue to do that because we're an awesome company. We give you really fair quotes. We try to be, aggressive but steady at the same time. We have thousands of customers that sell us their catalytic converters, and we've been able to earn their business over years of developing a method to be able to do it. So one of the things that we've done through rrcats.com is develop newsletters and information that gets spit out to people. So let's talk about some of the prices on the 3 base precious metal markets that have gone down since March 1st. Okay? Platinum has gone down 31%. Palladium has gone down 41%. Rhodium has gone down 69%. Now just think about that. The 3 metals have gone down 30, 40, and 70%, give or take, in a week and a half. So if you listen to us and we tell you to sell as you get it, at rrcats.com, we guarantee our price quotes for 7 business days. So if you get a quote today and we get your cat in anytime in the next 7 business days, that always gives you a full weekend to be able to mail it and still get it to us. And as long as we see that it's post-dated within kind of that range, maybe we'll bend a little bit. But with crazy price drops, any of the people that listened to us and sold us their cats in the last month and a half, well, they're in really good shape. They were able to cash in. They were able to have no problems. They were able to make money. And we covered them as these prices went down since last Monday. Kudos to you if you used rrcats.com and listened to what we're saying. Now, I am not here to tell you na poo poo. We're here to help you. Our goal is for you to make more money. If we help you become more successful by getting more information from us, more knowledge, more anything, right? Then you help make us more successful. It goes both ways. This is not a one-way street. We are not just telling you information to help you make more money. We're telling you more information to help you make more money, so you give us feedback like the dialogue that we're having now virtually, right? And a lot of our topics that we talk about week to week are from conversations that we have here at our scrapyard. That's why we're so different than other people just trying to tell you about the markets. Scrapyards have expanded their profit margins right now. I'll be the first one to tell you that I've done exactly that in the last 3 or 4 days. Probably bigger than it should be, but we have no idea what's going to happen with the markets. Last night, copper prices closed at 4 p.m., right? At 11 p.m. last night, the overseas trading market dropped copper another 17 cents per pound. So imagine yesterday 17 cents comes off the board. You wake up this morning and just like that, the market goes down another 17 cents. Now don't ask me why, but the market did rebound and it's actually up a penny right now over yesterday's trading numbers, closing numbers at 4 p.m. Eastern. So that's an awesome thing, but it still shows you there's some crazy volatility going on right now. We try to act like we know what we're talking about, but when you have things that are unforeseen, uncontrollable, and really just all over the place, we don't know where these markets are going to go. So we still suggest get it in, get it out, make the money while it's in your truck, van, car. Maybe you have a jet ski you ride to your local water scrapyard. I don't know. I don't care. Sell what you have and don't save anything right now. Steel prices down $55 a ton on average across the board on all grades of steel over the last 7 to 8 days. You might find a couple of scrapyards that have not dropped as much as that. They might have some open contracts that they're still able to sell to. What we have a bit of a fear of is that some of these larger mills, smelting plants are going to stop taking trucks in, which means that steel is going to start piling really high at your scrapyards, and the scrapyards are going to be paying you less money even than they could sell for today, because if they have so much product and they can't move it, well then what are they going to do, right? Really, really difficult right now. We've seen gold start to dip down into the 1400s per ounce right now. Virginia, could you pull up that recent gold price for me? So that's going to really affect your electronics. We've seen that market go down. We've seen aluminum hasn't really moved too much. I don't know. Aluminum's like this the annoying friend that is always kind of there, doesn't really add anything to the group dynamics, but at the same time hasn't taken anything away. That's what aluminum has been the last few months. There's always that one person that's there. You're like, why are you there? And let me give you a good piece of advice. If you do not know if that person is there, you are that person. That's why, I joke, but we talk about these things. So gold prices are up today, $1,480 an ounce. Thanks, Virginia. So that's a good thing. Things that you want to look for, signs that you want to really hone in on, okay? If gold prices start falling and you see $1,300, $1,200, $1,100 an ounce, $1,000 an ounce, if you see gold go below $1,000 an ounce, that means that people are more worried than the news is leading on to. And that is going to be one of your biggest telltale signs to watch what the market is doing. Watch gold. Gold, we had Teddy Roosevelt talking about the gold standard and gold over the years, and it hit 2,000 an ounce, and when it hit 1,000 it was crazy, right? Gold is the thing that you want to watch. If for some reason you see large fluctuations in gold, and these aren't large, we saw gold in the 1600s and now we're in the high 14s. That's cool. That's good level. But if you see some dips below that, that means that we're having more problems than a lot of people are leading on to. Couple questions, Virginia?
Cecil must have been a little late to the party because he just asked about catalytic converters.
Party! Well, Cecil, we saw 3 different large decreases. We saw 30, 40, and 70% decrease in the platinum, palladium, and rhodium markets, respectively. We've actually talked to some large catalytic converter processors that have seen such crazy swings that they're not even letting people sell some material right now because the price swings are so crazy. And if you follow us through rrcats.com, you've probably seen some of our posts. We have newsletters that are going out, once a week or once every other week. We are giving you a little more information than anyone else will because we've said this before at RRCats, at iScrap. Our goal is for you to make more money. And if we can give you more information, that means that you're going to give us the opportunity to buy from you, and that's our goal. Let us have that opportunity. And once we do, we promise you, and I rarely use that word promise, that we will do our best to continue to share information with you. And sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's bad. I tell a lot of the team members that work with me, I'm not going to tell you all the good things, because your job is to do those good things. But I am going to tell you the bad things. And if I tell you the bad things, that means that we need to work on them. So if I'm going to tell you just the good things about copper prices and catalytic converter prices going up, and I neglect to tell you about the bad or warn you about the bad, well, that's on me, and you can be angry with me. But our goal is transparency here. Our goal is to show you what's going on in all different facets of the markets, and that's why we've talked about tariffs over the years, infrastructure growth, different projects that have gone on. People have asked about, when the wall was being built, if that was going to affect the steel prices. Oh, the wall is so huge, it's going to have all the steel prices go up. No, it's not. The wall is a very minor amount of steel. If it affected the steel market 1%, I would be shocked. Manufacturing, car manufacturers. You want to talk about something big? Look at some of the major auto manufacturers that have shut down their plants. That is a market mover. Some of the largest consumers of metal are not using metal. Don't you think that's going to reverberate throughout the economy? That's the stuff that we look at. Another question.
Russell asked, how can I get a shirt?
How can you get a shirt? I don't know. Shoot us a message and we'll get you a shirt. In fact, the next 10 people that shoot us an awesome question, we might use it today, or next week, we will send you a shirt. And all the negative stuff that's going around, sometimes getting a surprise package or a free shirt just makes things a little better. Remember, little big things. Guys, this is Tom from the iScrap app. Today is Thursday, March 19th, 2020. We wish you nothing but the safest of times, the healthiest of times. We hope that we continue to pull together, not only as a country, but as a global citizenship, that we beat this invisible, war that we're kind of facing right now, that we quench down the demand for things that are, really integral right now, that we're able to just tackle this thing and move forward and get back to those strong economic numbers that we saw. We hope that copper continues to rise after this thing kind of falters itself out. But unfortunately, don't be expecting great news the next 2 or 3 weeks, but we will find those little beacons of light that are shining through so we can help you learn more about the scrap metal industry, the scrap metal pricing. And until next week, iScrappers, I will certainly scrap you later.